Memo akwa badeba Ancestors TV so your friend Kofi Ochame and ye sin konwa ye guso a ye hwehwe ye nsem nti no nim se wasum de ne obegye na aye branch ba kwa me ne te ha wa bin ye me hu ne foforo no online. He almost seemed like a magician. Utimi ma the nsake kankrofo bi na nkrofo foforo mom ne feel touches ne ade and all of that. And I've seen him rise from that to become an oracle. And he's versed in a lot of areas. He speaks about things that, ordinary people cannot even think of, talking about. And we're just going to have a conversation, free space conversation, everything about, spirituality, physicality, and all the in-betweens, whatever it is that we have to discuss, we are going to be discussing today. And I'm talking about the man who calls himself Ahokagya, the Oracle. Abrante Akwaba.
Yeah.
Bibia Boko.
Pa.
Kasa ase wo fere ade.
Oh, not necessarily.
But we started to okay can some swa. Na Danny and Simpi. One of the things that I learned about you when I picked you as a subject was the fact that you were a worker of the dark.
I am still a continuous
when people are working on becoming light, you take pride in the fact that you're a dark worker. I mean, what is that about? Bonsamba ne wa na sininiano. Na down for the one.
So me catch an for every single time. So when it comes to attributes, be it light attribute or dark type attributes, I don't see that correlation with being quote unquote good or quote unquote bad. Okay. It doesn't even make sense because the same sun that brings light to people to see, to walk, is the same sun that induces skin cancer. And it's the same sun that can bring about forest fires. Is the sun good or is it bad? It's still light,
The sun is good
to people and the sun is bad to people.
Depends on what you're doing.
Exactly.
Okay.
So me priding myself over the dark just simply means say I am minim say nkrofo bebre wo ho a omo mpe sum nyoma. And you only are scared of the dark because untimi inside. And meet matter was here. But when it comes to mina, that is more or less my area of expertise. And I don't have a problem with saying demonize those concepts. I would more or less flourish continuously.
But people have a perception about darkness, where unless you have a different definition for it, say because we did, or you tuntumo, tuntumo no, and it connotes a lot. Well, what can say was and the Casamoa? It connotes society must fear. One family chair, beer, one man who so and then same sisi, and one who they mention. Into what kind dark trust ayana akwe bibia
into and with anonomeka say there is a saying say it is better to respect a lion who knows how to calm his nerves than to respect a harmless goat. It is better to respect a lion who knows how to calm his nerves than to respect a harmless goat. What does it mean? Say nipa wo na obi wo na uhune say oye papa. Is it say oye papa because oni to me be and oye papa because oye papa? So the same applies to darkness, right? Darkness doesn't make you good or bad. You make yourself that way depending on what you want to do. Into dabbling into the auspices of the darkness, dabbling into things that people fear, doesn't necessarily mean say me babe sell. The question is then puna why here make us sell. Service or what way. It's like I work with so many things. I work with cats, dogs, I work with snakes. You realize one thing about working with snakes. They don't really care about human beings. In the sense of I even tell people say, share videos and microphone or what, which is attributed to, of course, darkness. Ube won say one mommy dwane ekọ ni baby and a mom u chase no then or there onye you all kwa the baby
say what the yaka try about or
so that's the
into your no problem.
So
what I say
but still that's the problem. Why do you move based on hearsay rather than truth?
Hearsay?
Yeah,
the Bible is hearsay.
I mean, yes.
It looks like it's emphatically written that the serpent is the genesis of your issues.
Oh, and no crano, if we move and it goes into that, how would an outside that be the genesis of your issue? That's the problem I have with people.
The outsider becoming the genesis of our issues.
I mean, if you look through the Bible, the snake didn't even do anything wrong.
The serpent did not do anything wrong in the Garden of Eden.
He didn't.
Who whispered in the ears of Adam and Eve to do against the will of God?
No. I don't have a problem with anyone's will, right? I just have a problem with people who alter truth, right? Now Papa Kacho say, of course, me boo Papa. But Papa Kacho say, if I say, hey, men found sa enka table no, we don't saka table no better than abua. Let me bow fee. Now say, Charlie, how you find some table, monsieur? Okay, no, we don't saka better than abua. Chairman. I don't saka. I'll be who say I didn't.
Now we are bonsa because you are the edition.
No, and of course,
chairman will be Arsenal.
Sir, there be what can be?
Okay,
Mr. Minim send your can service every nuclear brain.
But if you the authority is the father.
Oh yeah, of
and what has man found?
So you see, that's the problem.
Be convincing them.
And yes, me can't say found second. Me can't say so papa ka say odon sakana ubedani abua de na no de obwa. Say ranko waka say enfa sanka keka me ntimi ngai.
Na nya no nkwa no ye yo. Odon saka na ubedani abua de eno de obwa. Ba no kra we odon saka wani bebi wani beti ubehunu nyansa.
Okay, inti
wa hu de mention.
So it's the same.
Into why dada for
there be what kind of cray?
He's become a bridge to committing the sin.
No. He has become the bridge to letting you understand the reason for the authority. Okay, let's go through scripture. You can go through scripture, right? Is it Genesis chapter 2 or Genesis chapter 3? The snake came, right? The serpent came. When the serpent came, the serpent said, "Woman, is it true that when you, because I've heard, so I'm just trying to reason. I'm confused. Is it true that you've been told that when you eat of this fruit, you would die?"
You see, exactly my.
Then the woman said, "Oh, it's not all the fruit. It's this particular one." He said, "When you eat this one, the one in the middle, then you literally die." He said, "Oh, then that's a lie. That's a lie." He said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Oh,
why bring up this issue? Why give me a varying knowledge apart from what I know? What is your purpose?
Okay, so
what is your intent?"
So let's go only purely by scripture. I don't even want to bring my own understanding. The snake said, if you eat the fruit, what will happen? Your eyes will be open and they know you'll be like them.
They know.
Yeah. That, of course, the Elohim. They know you'll be like them. What does the woman see or see the baby? It's okay. Try it. The woman takes it, she doesn't die. She realized she doesn't die. Then she was like, okay, let me give it to Adam and see if he will die. She gives it to Adam. Adam also doesn't die. Both of them, their eyes are actually open. Okay, then you'll be like, oh, then it's a sin. No problem. So you said your God didn't lie. Let's pause. Now let's go to what your God told his people. Now your God comes, of course, he does his cursing and whatever. And then he goes and is like, we need to sack them. Why do you need to sack them? If you want, we can read scripture.
They've become contaminated.
No. We can read scripture. The reason is scripture.
You can. So, why not?
Okay. So you go to Genesis. All right. So forgive me for my slowness. Something that will happen.
That's fine.
Yeah. So you go to Genesis chapter. It should be chapter 3 or chapter 4. That particular story is not fully ingrained in me. Chapter 3, right?
Okay.
Chapter 3, and verse 22.
Okay.
Listen very carefully. I'm reading from the ASV. So and Jehovah God said, listen carefully. Behold, the man has become as one of us, to know good and evil. Listen why he threw man out.
Mm.
And now lest he put forth his hand and take also of the tree of life and eat and live forever. There's a dash. They actually omitted. This thing is there's a linkage. So that he lives forever, then Jehovah sent forth from the Garden of Eden to till the land from whence he was taken. So he drove out the man and placed. He didn't drive out man for sinning because he cursed man for sinning. That he are punishing him. So why did he drive them out? He doesn't. Wabet is all no in terms of the knowledge. One person bet is no in terms of living forever.
Eternal life.
Very good.
Which is a promise to you according to John 3:16.
Then why did you have a problem in the beginning?
Sir, I don't know, dear CEO. One, now you have knowledge. You know good and bad. What you don't have is more immortality.
Of course.
So the immortality is now a promise to get you to behave.
No, that's the point. There's no promise of eternal life when you go into the old system. It only becomes a promise when the New Testament comes forth. That's number one. Number two, you would realize from the very beginning, the biblical God didn't have didn't have a line of thought to make man like himself in the sense of man knowing. What he wanted was just someone who.
Oh, so as I'm now there's one very big question which is yet to be answered.
Of course.
The existence of the serpent.
Okay.
The coming of the serpent.
Okay.
What is the story of that serpent? Where is he from?
Okay.
How is he connected to this whole
thing? Yeah, that's also something extremely deeper, and that one actually it beats me to give me 2 hours just for that.
Adam Ahokagya is a mini memory card.
So the concept of the serpent, we share from all traditions, right? You go into Egypt, that's Nubia. You go into the Sumerians. You go into the Chaldeans per se. You realize, the serpent is more or less related to the God of truth and the God of knowledge. So the serpent brings healing. Healing can only be established based on knowledge. That's one thing. So often say more medical doctors, now we pharmacists. Look at your emblem. What's your lab coat? Emblem. So there's a snake. In I think is it the Deuteronomy Exodus? Abra Moses and Crawford. Or what become? The representation of salvation was a snake. The snake is not the demon here. So the introduction of the snake, first and foremost, the Bible has already made you aware. The snake was extremely nifty and crafty. That's a bad way to describe it. The snake unim power, unim rough. So it is in understanding on this proverbial story that the snake came to establish that, look, this is wrong knowledge. We feel way back, but that's not the case. You can attribute the Owo's influence to the God of knowledge. Because the Yahweh God isn't the God of knowledge, so you can.
Is the God of knowledge not Thoth?
No, Thoth is also an attribute of the God of knowledge, in the sense of Thoth is also a messenger of the God of knowledge.
Okay.
So if you look at the story of Thoth, he was also given divine knowledge. He wasn't divine knowledge. He was given divine knowledge. All gods.
Everything that you have learned.
Yeah.
Because when you read the Emerald Tablet, he actually mentioned that. That he came.
Yeah, about this.
When the person he calls master, he said, go and with everything that you have learned, go and fix.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I tell people, one main truth you can take from everything we even talk about today is number one, all the gods or all the true gods are hidden.
Hidden.
Yeah. And all the players are more or less the players of the gods. Does it make sense? In none of you would know that. They are not that stupid. To know one's name is to know one's attributes. To know one's attributes is to know one's weakness. If we know the weakness of the true gods, we can kill them. They are not that dumb. That's the point. So that's one thing you can also take. So when it comes to the snake, of course, the snake was influenced by the God of knowledge, because the God of knowledge is someone, he just wants knowledge. On found whether he's going to.
And a God of knowledge, the Yahweh God, and I'm so fine.
And yes, fine.
Let
me just put it.
Now, what Bible room, no, I say, or no, na boni nipa. And when you call on fast, or raise you. One make it can we answer almost.
I say, quote, I say, Ibia crowd titoba, right?
Yeah.
So what it's over now, the Obako society, man, Pacho, don't tell society how to also react to saying what it's over. If what it's over,
you can't, you don't have control over that.
Same thing with the ecosystem, right? You can be a god and have your creations. If you have your creations, then create your own bubble and put them in. Don't put them in the cosmos of time. When you put them,
because they will interact, and how we interact with them,
that one you can't blame me for.
Who defend one? Yes,
I'll always defend anything that propagates actual knowledge. That is truth. That's me. Me will be a I don't care whether you are an extreme god, whether you are extremely powerless, as long as you profess that which is deductible, that which is truth, that which is knowledgeable, that which is sentient, I don't have a problem. I'll be like, okay.
You are between the physical and the spiritual.
Yeah.
Exactly. Amongst the things that you have encountered, your experiences, emu dia hina so wohwe nipa wo feel say se nka nipa nyina nim dia wo honhom mu a nka beboa nipa. What do you wish humans knew?
The only thing I wished humans knew truly was the concept of death. If human beings understood the secrets of death, most people wouldn't be doing what they do.
I cannot wow. Maybe I but I was so okay. So first of all, why should we even fear death? Is it to be feared?
It's not even about fear or non-fear, because human beings are programmed and hardwired to fear that which they do not know. Sana nipatie. Se nipa wo hwe ya programming omo adwen say bibi enia. What happens? Okay, if you don't know it, then you have to fear it.
Okay.
Fear. Okay, I can go into this because it's not a fear is basically just a signal to tell you that, number one, you may not know something. Number two, that something may hurt you. Or number three, you are not ready for that thing. That's fear. It's a signal that your brain is hardwired to send to you.
Yeah. Adam and Eve were not ready for the information the serpent gave. But
they feared him coming. They didn't fear the knowledge. Anyways, so that's number one.
Yeah.
When we go to death is one of the primordials when you are dealing with dark magic and stuff like that, right? Magic is the ability to manipulate time and space, to manipulate that which is and that which isn't. That's magic. You can say that as, in today's world, we say it as science and technology. Understanding that which is and that which isn't. And when we manipulate it, we can now term it as technology. Right? I know your friend in magic back in the day. When you are into the dark arts, you study a lot of things that are forbidden. And then you begin to understand why they are forbidden. Anything that is forbidden has a high price to pay. So resurrecting the dead,
end of it?
No, not the end.
It's a high price?
If I want to resurrect the dead, right? So if I want to impregnate a woman, all I'm doing is inseminating the woman. And I'm just losing proteins and sugars. That's it. Nothing else. Nothing else is being taken from me. And maybe just a piece, like a bit of my DNA, a piece of my soul. That is to form a different soul. That is it, though. That is semeni senyoba. Okay. Se akodani wuna mesenyani akodana. A life for a life. Very expensive. Question is, which life would do? Which life? That means that I have to either illegally take another life or legally let someone give off their life for that one. So for one life, you need one life. That's the equation. That is why raising the dead is a forbidden act. Necromancy is also a forbidden act. Why is necromancy a forbidden act? It is an established rule.
Necromancy and Samanfre.
Yes, Samanfre. No, necromancy is not in Samanfre. Necromancy is interaction with the dead.
In Samanfre.
So, okay.
She casa meteche bra.
Anyway, our necromancy mono yachiche mufa, right? We have in Ghana, apart from me and one old man I used to know, right? I don't really know any other real necromancers, right? The rest are just basically people who have an understanding of apparitions. Apparitions are ghosts, right? We'll come to that later on. And
apparitions are what? Ghosts?
Ghosts, yeah.
Okay.
Ghosts. So in true necromancy, you would know, say, the world that you describe as the world of the dead, right? Where when the dead go, they pass through, right? It has rules. Jesus can't be let the dead bury their dead. People didn't understand. In the land of the dead, the living is not allowed. So for me,
just like in the land of the living, the dead is not allowed.
Exactly.
Okay.
So for me to go into the land of the dead for whatever reason, I need to actually die. And when I die, how do I come back? I need to be resurrected. Resurrection is a forbidden act. If resurrection is a forbidden act, then in hindsight, necromancy to the highest form becomes a forbidden act. That's necromancy to the highest form. Now, necromancy in the lower base forms is also a forbidden act. Why is that also a forbidden act? In terms of mingling with apparitions, anyone can fake being someone else's apparition. To say, when you look at the book, is it the book of Deuteronomy or Joshua? Abrana, Angel Michael, any Bonsam Aircon or Moses' body. The reason for that is you need a body to make an apparition. So if someone an adrenaline ye papa, efa o body the year apparition, after the so be bas saman freya, sani pani mum that is known as a familiar spirit, nebe but not the real person's apparition.
No, a bit play
the role
into information or the bema correct.
It is a you the necromancer. If you are not a true necromancer, you are just doing fraudery at that point. And then you
necromancer, so you cannot decipher whether the ghost is the real one or not.
Yeah, so especially when you can only do the low level necromancy. That's why.
But high level,
you can actually deduce, because every apparition comes with an aura field, right? Aura fields can be sensed in various forms. The highest form is sight, and the sight has 7 levels. The 7th level is when you can determine something is a fake or something isn't. Human beings are not allowed that.
And you fresh am I?
I can, yes. And yes, I'm afraid I can. So I don't do it on a daily basis. I can.
What free be that?
Oh, baby, record.
Into wo fresh am. Had na wo dwane. Eduma we na na wo dwane.
So the main reason I can is me starting and then I'm starting with, right? I started interacting with what you term as ghosts or apparitions. I started interacting with them, but then my intuition radar was going a bit off sometimes. So that's when I went a bit deeper. And then I realized, okay, familiar spirits can play a role of the ghost. So that's what made me break rules to reach the highest form of necromancy. That is traveling. And in the traveling, twice I've almost never come back. I had to lie.
To come back,
I had to lie.
Why not? We try and turn this in. I'm watching.
The beings there. The beings there are stronger than you can think. I always tell people the beings there are even stronger than a lot of gods being worshipped in today's world. Yeah, I've met beings.
But how strong are they?
It's not that ultra true. It's the sense of say, okay, you won't try, it doesn't exist. And you won't try. No being is omniscient and omnipotent. No one knows everything.
Okay.
Good. Obama now kasi unim let's say someone important in this country. Let's say John Mahama or Nanado, right? You find this out. Now, because unim no. Me, if I say police in Mecho, because unim na. Me pause first. First and foremost, I can't contact Nanado and John Mahama. Okay, you look like someone who you could know, Nanado. I don't want to get into trouble. You, Mate, what do you call? You get it. That's the point. So you have to. So
that's a chiwa.
So I remember the most recent one was like, is it 2.5 or 3.5 years ago, right? Obi ba me ho say ne relative view, right? Into your personal contacting. So of course, I took the dead person's things. Obama feed dead person I don't do so. So I took the dead person's things, did what I needed to do, waited the time period, everything, right? And that operation by a familiar spirit. Got pissed.
No, bufu.
Yeah, me sad and it pisses me off to think you can lie to me, say you are that person, pisses me off. So I told the familiar spirit point blank, say, why like he said, first and foremost, Nancy minya butre and kamido bibionko. I told you to go. I know it's not a uncle dad will be for. I don't have the time for that. But Nipan so about me on with chiska or pay
results.
Yeah. So I was like, you know something, no problem. So I contacted the main god who contracted with me. Right. I have a lot of contracts, but there's one main god who contracted me in the beginning. So me say say you. You know what I say, Charlie? My realm is linked to that realm, but I can't give you a pass today. So what did you do? Let me email. And I'm a call. So I did what I had to do, and I died, and I left. McCoy, and of course, you go through their trials. You go through the trials. The trials I've gone through them since I've been in Xiaomi. I went through the trials because I wanted to see where the anchor was. Then there's a point within the land of the dead where there's something called, people don't know this. That's why I say in Ghana, we don't, in the world per se, we have like only 2 or 3 true necromancers. So for more fixed, I can give you filler, right? You go to the 3rd level within that realm. There's something called the beings of the known spoke. Why are they called that? You don't speak to them. Only omokasape waka. That's number 1. They don't speak to you. When you show fear, waka. There is a language of the known spokes. You don't speak it with your mind.
What's your from? Known one?
I call them known spokes. They cannot,
okay, known spokes.
Yeah, so
okay.
Yeah. So you don't speak, they don't speak, but you have to communicate. You cannot communicate with your brain. You cannot communicate with your mouth. Your brain has to be empty when you are there. That is your mind. That is your ethereal mind. It has to be empty when you go there. And this is all about drain. So you do all your planning outside that realm. When you enter that realm, you know what you are doing. When you say if you have air core, drain pe waka. That's the point. So I interacted with them, and I made myself as a.
You interacted with them how?
That's the point. You have to interact. So there's a form of interaction that goes above telepathy. You see, human beings, we are so menial. So we think telepathy is the highest form of interaction. It isn't. It's still a low-grade interaction process. There is telepathy and mind control and whatever, and there is soul language, that is soul speaking within themselves without the use of telepathy, that's the mind, and without the use of the lips. You get it? And then you move to the next stage with it. I've forgotten. There's no specific word for it, because to be fair, Udruwa now be say it exists. Let me just put it that way. Right? Udruwa, then you know it exists. But if you don't get there, you will never know. So many of them interacted. Then there's a language for that. So we interacted, and then I made them aware, say, Mimi nyame na frem, se membraha. No say membefa ABC. So they looked at me.
And Turano.
So they looked at me, and they were like, Unyam ni the same. And I told them, say, say, first and foremost, my God won't permit me to tell you the name. You know what the God I'm talking about. This is the sign. This is the same. So I have sigils like within my palm that you can't really see with the naked eye, but there are sigils that denote, say, I am from this realm. So I showed them the sigils. They looked at the sigils. They scanned. They did everything. It shows say Ampa. They were confused, and they are huge beings.
Almost so.
Oh, like I always say, the level of power I feel, because I've met them like 3 times, the level of power I feel with them, I haven't felt with any religious body in this realm. It's so, and they are not even gods. That's the point. That's why I tell people, true gods. let's just drop that stuff for another day. Anyways, so
crazy energy.
So I went. They showed me whatever. So whilst they were showing me you see, I'm on a mission. Right? So I've already went through the first layer. I didn't see the person. Secondly, I didn't. So the third layer, I'm who say, oh, sana ni uncle. The main what's it called? Ethereal being. Yeah, money ye juma. Why? Because always we are seeing him. So he's going through a bit of torture, and they are grading him for I think is it like 1.5 million years or something like that, right? So they are grading him before the next reincarnation process. So he has to pay a certain price before that. Now, like, but still, you can't stop. So it's not like hell, quote unquote. So like I tell you, there's no heaven, there's no hell. There's just movement, right? And they are grading him. So maybe who I am, he said, no, and I'm catching. Baby, I'm missing me JRD, and I can't say what it is, right? Me see me JRD, and I see me fambra. Because a hoswa, the verification process will fail, because now they verify that I'm from that being. They verify that I'm not lying, say like oyemi nyami ankasa. Now the true verification is say wasma se bejiana. If wasma, your sigil will lie with that thing, and then you can send it. We draw them can say, hey, no. After minya signal say men sambra na umami wrong item say men fambra. Then they just looked at me, they got pissed. That's where, how should I put it? You have to be slightly.
Now, why were you withdrawing?
Because if I get there, I won't come back. I'm not that stupid.
Okay.
And also, now
so throughout this process, I'm dead. You are dead.
Yeah, I'm dead. So I mean,
your body is lying lifeless.
So I'm in my room alone. There's no life. So there's only one girl, Meditia, me in that state, right? Because I'm serious in this life. So sad states, and if I'm in that state, my body actually becomes very numb and cold. My heart starts beating. I have no pulse. I have 0 pulse, and like my body is just lifeless. And then if you are able to come back, then your body starts.
So when you're coming back, you see your spirit walk into your body.
No, it just like
you just wake up.
Yeah, so it's just like a yonk, and then you wake up. It's not like you are walking, no, it doesn't. Going is difficult than coming. That is if you're able to come. Going is more difficult than you coming back. That's the point. It's not even saying, and they tell you, say, oh, because coming back is easier than you go. But the thing is, the verification of you coming. So within there are certain things I did. I can't say it on broadcast, but I had to do certain things to be able to escape these 3 beings, which were pissed at me, right? And I've told myself before I go there again, this time I'm sending that junction because they are pissed at me. They are pissed. They know I've lied. They just can't come for me. And one of the tricks is because of my contracts. You can't just kill me by heart. So, and also, so yeah. So when you go into necromancy in the highest form, you go through the layers of the dead. In the layers of the dead, everything you are doing is wrong, since you are actually a living organism. That's the point. When I don't die physically, and then I use an esoteric means, right, to leave my body, to render my body in a dead state, I am lying to the system. And lying to the system is the greatest form of sin. It's also part of why necromancy at the highest form is forbidden.
Let me drag you here for a minute. Describing all of this and, the story of Jesus and him walking through Hades and waking up people in the 3 days that he ceased to exist and the resurrection. This is what he went through?
Yes, but also the only thing within that story is how do I put it? Resurrection only. Okay, so people assume that within that story, let's assume it happened. So within that story, people who had died years ago near the Nyanye Pacho, that's a huge lie.
And you're not correct.
No matter which God you are, you don't have that. They don't mind you. Who are you? The best you
But
can.
is that not what makes Jesus special?
So that's the point. There's no such thing as special. There's you are powerful, you're not powerful, right?
Is that not what makes Jesus powerful?
So no. That's the point. So
there's no way obi betimewu na wakọ Hades. Na
wakofa nipa ne wumpo for let's say 1 month. But do mind you. The only reason resurrection occurred for that. So I tell people, Jesus didn't go to the land of the dead to bring people back. It's a lie. When you die, there is an attachment period, right? You are not even in level 1, you're in level 0. There's an attachment period which is 40 days. You are not really off of the planet.
Now you're getting orientation for the place that you have gone to.
As a Oku school, it's 40 days. Look, you're not.
That is how come even in the culture you wait 40 days before anything.
Okay. It's 40 days basically. Everyone who woke up was someone who was dead within that time period. None of them went over. If you go over waka, how say and then hey, let me be honest with you. The gods themselves are afraid of death. They don't move with death. They can work with death. They don't even work purposely with the god of death himself. They work with his agents. So if you read, I think the book of 1 Kings, will say an agent of death. That's an angel of death. Was instructed by God to do something. One can say God was talking to death. I always tell people, only in the book of Revelations, the biblical God say or the judgment but to death. So I'm pretty sure when if death read that book, you just look at like the biblical God and be like, really?
Are you being for real right now? You see, said you see can easy.
Oh no, it's something.
Into the question of Bibi when you mean to me, you are answering that question differently.
First and foremost, there is no God that is omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent.
Not even Yahweh God?
Oh, Yahweh God, if you are ranking gods, he's not top. Okay, he's top 5. So, but he's not top 3. Damn. He's not top 3. Like, I can say, you see, the only thing sometimes I say is everything has been changed. Knowledge, you see, sometimes when I talk, the gods who know me, they try and be like, who he has can you maybe? Truth is, the biblical God himself is strong, but he's not the strongest. How do we know this? Several times within the Old Testament, before Abraham, you see whatever Obabi Biano or stress supports first. Obi are all powerful.
And you born or woman adasa. Enti sign adasa ho enye bibi oni adasa
no problem patro say o to me now we nyinsin obi a uhia obi approval
eye buo so no say mabori ase me de mato ano monhwe enuoma nyina so he's giving you dominion enti he cannot pass.
I understand but yen ni pass sem na me kan look at the story of Babel or say Charlie yenko na ananko kwe unim yakọ.
But you see, the level of tranquility. Yenko. And when he speaks in that Elohim form, and not just he's giving respect to every other person.
So now I'm glad you even pointed from that perspective, right? So the council of the gods that Yahweh is a part of. There's a lot of councils, right? We're only talking about the council he's a part of. If he was the leader, he would have issued a command, not issue a plea.
Is he not pleading out of respect for his creation?
That's the point I'm trying to make. Look at the biblical God. He has no respect. He has zero respect.
In what sense? Point me to one.
So you look at everything he does from Genesis right through Malachi, right? He will tell you, say, if I'm doing something, I just want to pay my chow. Opa ma chokra se mi hu mobo na mi hu mobo. Na obi a wone nia one. Hu mobo na hu mobo. Na you come to play with the other gods. That's the point. He does said like you are younger than he is. You are less powerful.
So he chooses to.
I'm the God of yesterday, today. No, he never. Read through all scripture. He never pleaded.
He spoke with Abraham. He said that if you get me, this amount of people who are sinless.
No, so Abraham plead. He didn't plead. Or say Abraham, you're someone I've considered a human friend. Or you'll be you respect me, and you've done everything I've told you, even to the point say semekase kum unho be kum. So do you know something? And if people are thinking I'm lying, go and read scripture where he was going to destroy na lot to it has nothing to do with any. If the Bible, there's Abraham's God was going to destroy another place, so first and foremost, he sent on one small boy.
But I mean, but you also realize that the physical needs to give express permission to the spirit. And son spirit
okay, so so there are rules and regulations. Yes. Let's no,
and God says, I'm spirit and you worship me in truth and spirit. So God, being spirit, for him to operate on earth, needs man's express permission.
It's a yes and a no. You understand as we move on. So I tell people, let's just go with the Abraham story because I wanted to make a point from there. He only came to Abraham only because Abraham had a cousin there, not because he respected Abraham either.
Which is Lot.
Yeah.
And the wife.
Yeah, exactly. And secondly, and you don't not buy because the fact that I'm my best friend doesn't mean I'm literally coming to visit you. I'll bring people who represent me. Those people who even represented him, if you check properly, they were like doubt and say a human being can be considered a friend. So when they came, they issued a test to check whether guy and say ubu adie. Let's test that. Why did they test it? Master can't be better. No, because they respect the master who by master is saying to they came to test and it was true. The only person who failed the test was who? The wife. Then they realized, oh, okay, the wife so when they realized, say, this man has understanding in this level of things, and I say, look, you've been saying, say, right? Into yeko. Oman kasi yenkwa na wasi yeko. No, say, oh, Mr. Mo amo kon pacho. Na mudu hona nipa say also. Also, I don't want distractions. He said, also, okay, do na nipa say. Omo ye papa ye beja. Or Luana I think it's a 5 we said. And I say, only need to omkaso beja. They've already gone there to do research. They know. I'm going to say forget it. They know. If people were there, they wouldn't have had that argument with them. They don't say, okay, no problem. And they left.
Those were the angels. That's also
a point. And no, even the messengers of God didn't come to plea with Abraham, let alone the Abrahamic God.
Let me back up a little bit. Now, talking about necromancy, Jesus on the Mount of Transfiguration, Abraham, Elijah appearing. Is this Jesus practicing necromancy? Okay. Did he? Because nobody was there to record whatever prayer he said.
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden, Elijah and Abraham, Elijah and Moses appears unto Jesus.
Yeah. So
is this necromancy?
So with Jesus's own, most of the time when I'm talking, we can go low level or we can go like express high level stuff. So with the low level thing, you can lie to people and be like, oh yeah, he practiced necromancy. But now with understanding necromancy, and you want to be honest, you say, no, he wasn't practicing necromancy. There's something called time dilation. Time doesn't move in the way you film say a movie, right? When Yeshua was praying on the mountain, he was praying at the exact same time Moses prayed within the same vicinity. He was praying at the exact same time all the various Elijah Ebon Pai within that same time. And when you check scripture, Elijah born by unhu vision, Moses born by unhu vision, but they are all standing at the same point, praying at different times, and they can interact with themselves from different time zones. Am I making sense? So that's what actually happened at the Mount of at the mountain of Transfiguration.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily say no on your samai air kasa. And how what's it called? The disciples were able to deduce where Moses, where Elijah is because they have physical representation of them based on a few artist drawings and based on a few sketches and a few writings from people of the past. And they were not talking to them when they were in an angelic form, when they were in the glory. No. They were talking to them as they were when they were on earth. That alone should tell you that it's not necromancy. It's something else.
Okay. That's beautiful. You have reincarnated.
Yeah, a few times, unfortunately.
First life, second life, third life.
A few lives, yeah.
Which number of life are you
I
in?
can't say, but this is my last run.
Free.
If you,
No.
Because, like I said yesterday, I said I've become a god of my own right. So there are certain things I still need to do, though, but I'm not coming back here.
Your choice, and I say, "Oh, said your choice now." So maybe
I'm going against.
Can you decide that? Is it not against the processes of nature?
Good. So when you get to a certain level, you go against nature itself.
Oh, to me, say
America for 18 months you to but nature saying soon too. Because they've gotten to a level of technology where they can determine when it rains.
Dubai for you been and see you show.
Not necessarily. So you see, when you get to that level, you still do try and error till you master that. Humans have gotten to a point. So be at the end of failure, you feel so best and so but point. First and foremost, why are you to me yet that we are album? Number two, on can see what master or your trial and error. In fact, during the next 50 to 100, there's no more master. You also laugh at it. After that, what do? You're like,
That's
the point. So the same concept applies to whatever it is. I've done a lot of trial and errors with all my runs. I call living on this planet a run. I say, in the sense of you're just passing through. There's something I cannot talk about, but don't ever think.
Who stops you from talking about things?
I may want to talk about certain things, but I also don't want people to know certain things. And secondly, there are certain concepts I talk about that people never really think exist, and after I talk about it, they incorporate it into their teachings, which I somehow hate. And most people will never figure out say if you may share it. I've had a lot of big people listen to me from across board and incorporate a lot of the things I say into what they say. And I've sat down to look at all that. I'm like, maybe. Yeah, and I was a woman so I made Shane say I don't like learning, So you see, there's something that Obia could school right? And yeah, there's something that Obi Juman and what you
said the old question and Obi na Nipa no so no baby.
School so Nipa no call hospital akoye nyomo hu ye no school hu da okosho ba phone. So that's a huge difference. So there are certain things that make kasa about it. I don't want to fully go too deep. So maybe certain people won't pick up on those signals. But when it comes to the concept of reincarnation is not a good thing. That's what people haven't figured out a lot.
It's not good.
Yeah. It just means that yes, forgive my language, but it's just a way Jimmy does so. So yeah, we are sabi abuebi. Okay. And
you know what wow,
yeah.
Why in 4 times?
No overcry. You know how many times I'm coming here? Let me I always tell people when we talk about
you know mean, what now can you
Yeah, of course. I always say yeah.
into where Jimmy and I.
Sebi. I'm one of the most useless beings. One of the most stupid. I always tell people, like
you are allowed to reincarnate based on your mistakes.
So that's the point.
Living life.
Let me say it in a proverbial way. Your life only exists to feed. That's all I can say. I won't go deeper into that. Your life that you think you are living and you've done something good, you are basically an animal being led to the slaughter every single time. So there are people like myself. The main reason I've become, I say I'm extremely useless is over my last 3 reincarnations, I mastered so many things. And yeah, woman, it always takes me most of the time, the first 10 years, for me to remember most of my past lives, right? Yeah, woman, in all the, this one pen, I decided, say, the best option is to be a god. That's the best option, and I would sacrifice everything for that, and I did.
Of what are you God?
I can't go into details, but I'm a god of something people fear. That's all I can say.
What do people fear? Death is one.
I'm not a god. Death won't crown him. I mean, go sometimes with him. I play a lot with death, but so Obi few say, come and take me seat, okay, Jimmy. Yeah, the god of death it's literally either the oldest or one of the oldest like gods that exist. Obi he has a lot of agents, a lot of sons, a lot of daughters, but so no be free seats in his own Jimmy. That's the point, because there will be free, so in meaning in there.
So you're a god of something people fear.
Yeah. Something people fear and people can't understand.
They fear and they cannot understand.
Don't worry. Of course, you're for you figure it out. Only my members know what it is.
Don't try me.
I understand. Anyway, so I realized that was the only way. And in this lifetime, I had the opportunity. So I tell people every single time, every platform, because I was trained by several people, several beings, and then this I never really said it in the beginning because I'm here at that point, but I've gotten to the point where maybe so I got to a point where my first contracted being, and I didn't have a problem with that, and that solves literally 70%. Yeah, the seat, So being a god of something is a seat. We can only have one god of something. You get it? The god of time is only the god of time. He has a lot of kids. He has a lot of messengers, but there's only one god of time, right? The god of death is only one. The god of space is only one. The god of war is only one. That kind of thing, right? So
the planetary bodies, they are all gods.
Not necessarily.
The moon, the sun, the stars.
They are all messengers, carriers.
Okay.
They are not gods. That's where I have it. You see, that's why I say some of these things I don't like talking about, because I also draw power from misinformation that people have. People think the sun is a god. The sun is no god. The sun is just a little body. The sun is nothing. If you go into the express of the gods, you sit at the council of the gods, you realize the sun, you're a small boy, be crowd. That is the being responsible for the sun. A small boy be cra. For you, of course. So they say you when you are bros 100, 200, 300, yeah, super young. But the sun, no. On count cra. The sun, the moon, the other planetary bodies, all of them are basically what you term as messengers. They are not gods.
They carry particular messages and they perform
exactly from the main
from day to day.
Exactly from the main. So like I even say, I know it even trickles down to even sometimes the from Christianity to Islam to whatever. Majority of them are literally just serving the messengers, not necessarily the God. That's the point. None of them will ever meet the God himself.
Yakasa, but let's dash here for a minute.
Okay.
And Sana, the whole story of the Anunnakis descending from the skies, coming to establish on earth. Are the Anunnakis the gods that we serve? Is Yahweh Anunnaki? Is Enlil and Enki and their sister? All of this, are they the gods that are documented in the Bible?
So, the Anus or the Anunnaki is just a literal translation of the sky people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you now have the understanding of that, it just means that there are beings that.
In what language is that?
To be fair, we don't really know the exact language because the language is already dead, right? But it's a language the ancient Sumerians spoke with.
The Kinoa?
Yeah, they also spoke, but it's a long dead language.
Okay.
It doesn't exist in today's time. So I like to call them the Anus because the majority of people who came first were male figures, quote and unquote, right? And Anu just means sky father. So the Anus, upon their arrival, they decided to distort so many things. So the Anus didn't even create; they just improved for their liking, because they wanted something, and they also improved. So that also birthed so many other stories. So many other stories: the Christian myth, the Islam myth, even Akan myths. A lot of them were birthed from the primal Anu story. And the understanding of that story is also within what the scientists call the theory of evolution. In the sense of yen panane yen say. Na sebe yene apap. Ekra yepe. Yeah, basically. And they just improved upon those variants. And then with time we got here. So that story also makes scientific sense in that line because there was near a gene splice where they pick, let's say, ancestors, the monkeys, they pick their genes, normally then they work it out.
Since they created these advanced beings, and them know me and not are they the gods?
No, because they cannot make souls. That's the point. It's impossible to make souls.
So there are gods who are responsible for
making souls. Okay. They can't.
And are those gods, are they the creator?
So
because there's only one creator but different gods.
So no, there are a lot of creators. Don't worry. Maybe when I come later, we'll talk purposely for creation itself, right? When people have different levels of understanding of creation based on stories, you should understand, say, all creators are gods, but not all gods are creators. All creators are gods, but not all gods are creators. That's the point. I just say you were scientists. They are responsible for manipulating and doing advanced stuff. And we have normal everyday people and people who use what scientists make.
And your doctor be a surgeon.
You get it.
They are surgeons.
Exactly. They are people and then they come up with stuff. The ultimate being is what I just call the cosmos, right? That one, because I've never seen it within the council, because it doesn't exist. So we just call it the cosmos, right? That is a being no one knows where it started from. I know even when the biblical God started from, but in terms of the cosmos itself, the advanced cosmos, no being.
You can tell me the beginning of the biblical God, Yahweh.
No being, right? Yahweh said, I don't want to disrespect Christians or Muslims because the Muslim and the Christians, they share a similar God in a sense, right? So the Christians who call it Yahweh, and then the Muslims who call it Allah, right? And the Allah is the feminine form of Yahweh. I don't want to go too much into detail. So the Muslims are not actually serving a male type God. They are serving a female type God. When they go into their own books, they'll realize it to themselves. Anyways. So, I didn't miss it. Oko into the grand cosmos, we have an understanding, especially every spiritualist, even at the low levels, all of you know this, right? All the spiritualists watching. There's an understanding, say, the universe in itself, the cosmos in itself. When you talk about the cosmos, everything that dwells within it, right? In its envelope, the universe is a living sentient being. It even gets rid of gods.
It gets rid of gods.
Yeah.
It repels gods.
Yeah, it repels gods every single time because the gods are all within the cosmos, right? So the entire being is a god of its own, and that being is what fermented into the various operations of gods, humans, and other planets, and all those kind of stuff.
So we are all part of one universe.
Very good. It's also part of why, even though human beings are the weakest in everything, they are like, oh, but we are gods. No, you have an apparition, or you have a ghost-like type God, in the sense of you are from a God form, but you are not God.
You are the offspring of a God.
Basically, in the sense of the universe birthed forth you based on its own manipulations of other gods and whatever. So you have at least a God type genotype. Even the monkeys are gods, the fishes are gods, everything. But it doesn't necessarily, they are God-like, but it doesn't mean they are gods, basically. So yeah, so with the story of the Anus near Diana, they are just representations that let you understand science and technology at a time people didn't know science and technology existed. Sometimes okofa yebefa ibia wawodie will splice it a bit, then we will inseminate it near the share chamber. Yes or no? Then it comes. Then a baby is born. As soon as I do about then
IVF.
Yeah. So that's basically it. So the story of the Anus is not a literal story per se, but it just makes you understand how human beings we evolved with time. Yeah. Basically.
It's for the evolving of human beings. It's not for creation.
No.
In particular. His name is the Oracle. Ahokagya. Why that name? Now that we are getting up from this conversation. Ahokagya. You feed ni ankasa. I want to say you. Okay, you and names. You don't want people to know your source and therefore decipher your weakness. Say where you suffer, where you comfort, where you bosom, where you home.
Okay. So I'm basically an oracle type God, basically.
Oracle type God.
So in short, I'm an oracle.
Can people come see you about their problems? Because I say the ekeka kwe die utimi ko ba bia nipa obi a utimi ko asama adoko dada.
So we can so I always tell people, once I say me kasa, people make us kasa keke. You see, when you watch various things I do, I demonstrate stuff. Yeah, my master, like all forms of divination, all forms of telepathic magic, or my mastery dark magic extremely. And I'm also an oracle, so I mediate between other gods and normal human beings, and also convey information if I need to. That's the point. So even near no, I can. There are things I can do. Meet my and read you, because of course the people assume the eye is just the eye. I can blindfold myself and we get into certain things. I can do so many things. He has so I want people having a visual representation of what is it called, how these things are. So even baby I do this, and the main reason I say I want people to have an understanding of, number one, yes, yakasa a lot of the things. I may say certain things that you may find appalling. I don't have a problem with it, right? But if I say for paper count myself, if I say anything that people into here, this is just a sack, right?
A sack,
yeah,
a black sack.
A black sack. I don't put this over my head because people will tell you, say you can still see through. I don't have a problem. So this is the main thing. This one, yes, will be
okay,
right? So I just want to so me person me verify.
Hey, that chance you.
Chance.
Alomi, kela alomi. What did the men find katameni? Where cow of darkness, Miss Rewa? What did
yeah, so so me start here, I always say this. Me ninye at all, right?
When ninye.
I have I'm supposed to have glaucoma by now.
Now we name God of ice. Yeah, call God of sight to honor all things. All things when in my way.
I don't believe I don't, when I have certain things, I don't want to be healed from those things. Weaknesses are not just weaknesses sometimes. Weaknesses could be your strength, if it makes sense.
Yeah. That's a point.
Yeah. So right now I know point blank say I cannot rely on my eyes. So because of that, I developed what people termed as the sixth sense, right? In comparison saying now you're opening your third eye. I don't even believe in that concept. But anyways, so
you don't believe in the pineal gland and
no, the
all?
pineal gland is this, but people don't even know they are talking about the pineal gland.
Okay.
You see, when people talk about the third eye, they're talking about something else, which is fun every single day. They think say, no. They do not understand.
Splitting the partitions between the left and the right brain.
Yeah.
Okay.
They can't understand that concept. So with the human being, this is also part of the process of how I even became godlike in nature with what I do, right? You do not necessarily have to rely on your physical senses. You can always rely on what you term as your intuition, which people do not understand fully, right? So with the intuition, one example, and this,
I'm on paper, but I won't can't me baby you.
no, person who so much people cannot say me.
Who fake you,
Yes, you get it. I want everything to be as realistic as possible, and I want you to verify. Say this is an actual tape.
This is tape.
Way a brand new. Me share that moment on a brand new. Patro try say obe easy be amame. Paper na media ma no. Fact 2 in so you can see through.
Worker of darkness paper there. Me find too many so. Who can say Masaya? Yeah. Okay, then me find too many.
Say there be like kataso say sana me no the same thing. Na for 2 in so.
Really opaque. Yeah, you can see.
If you open your eyes and see if you can see through.
No,
that's what I'm saying. Good.
I can't.
Do the same with this.
Okay.
So as you're doing be mami.
Tape, no.
Yeah. So I want like.
So it's quite very opaque. You cannot see anything.
You'll be wasting your time if you think you can see. The main reason I tell people say me person may you see, right? Now my young man say when I started doing this, right? And I started doing this, you can say, oh, or a way out it's me being in
at the fast, yeah.
You understand? So no problem. I mean, where be
is this enough?
Yeah. So we turn it piece by piece like this. So maybe people are actually invested in what we are doing. Okay. So you take a bit.
I mean, take a
we are one of the few hosts that on my end because everywhere I go, they want me to do it.
Okay.
So you take a piece, not media. Take another piece because.
Okay. What the white paper need tie when to really block it.
Yeah, exactly. So I start from the edges and then move. Since the end is slow, exactly.
Okay, Ebony.
Okay.
Oh. Yeah. Boy, white paper.
Okay, I cut this side hopefully.
Oh, bet my bro. Yeah. Just pass between you. Who's ready?
Indeed.
When it God and I'm who's ready?
The real person in you, I understand.
Okay.
Yeah. Indeed. Yeah. Then, okay. This isn't extremely good, but it's good enough.
So basically, what we are doing is or kataneni.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically. Let's start with
then,
yeah. Then I also do the same. So I won't see. Okay. So the main thing I hear majority of the time is say when we do this, right? Yeah, in such a way, you say. Okay. Even if I can see, this blocks majority of my vision.
Your vision.
And also, so the probability of me seeing is so then.
What's you space?
And American, you understand? A sign extremely low. Until you do something like this.
Okay.
Lanka we imagine a stage and come be a rappy baby, but just to save time.
And the express down nice.
Now, you verify say we yeah.
It's
now maybe I share me say
chancing.
Yeah. We say. Okay, so nyame person me understand.
If you bring form kakre because that now that the express.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. Once I don't really know. That's the point. Okay. Once I share me, I mean verify anything.
Whether it's straight or not, but okay.
Yeah.
It's pretty.
It's straight.
Yeah, it's straight.
Okay.
And now bueno, cover the year, mommy.
Yeah.
Block will be so
okay, say straight now.
It's straight.
It's straight
now. It's not.
Once I don't know. That's the point. You see, I tell people when you are blind. People don't know how it feels like. So they are like, abasa I didn't cheer. So okay. So now, okay. What we do is me person offer any objects, right? A load sequence of objects if you office, right? Now offer objects. When you have an object in your hand, just let me know. Just do it for me.
Object.
Any object. It could be anything at all. When you have, just say yes. That's all. When you have, just say yes.
Give me a close up of it. No, be
okay. Obia, you have an object already, yes?
Mafa, yes.
Mafa object, right? Okay. Which part of mine is like where am I closer to you? Your left or your right?
My left. Okay, to you it's still your left.
It's okay.
Okay.
My left.
Hey, Debbie, you're right. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
So that's what I do, right? Put it into your left. And then your far off hand, when you are doing these type of things. Okay. Your far off hand, your left, so left, right, your right hand, I think. For the empty hand, to mean so mami. Fatu means him. Okay, thank you. If you assume that I can see you are meeting me, but I won't even know where your hand is. So you have to. Good. So that's what we do, right? I want you to feel the texture, right? I have permission to be one with you. Yes or no? Me beside yes or no? Okay, very good. Okay. Your feet don't many did but just feel the texture. Like of the thing you're holding. But many who did it, right? Make a little okay, it feels this one is simple, it feels glassy, so it should be a glass cup. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, good. So let's go with the second one. Just that.
Master.
I can't one more thing because the person will say into. No, people could say be at the hind, of course, be far. You get the psychology.
Okay. Okay, Obi Beckham.
Yeah, Obi Beckham.
Let me send for another thing. Now me cry me you him say glass baby. Sure. Now go fi bring me bibi. I'm still working on getting.
So as we do this, sometimes even with a like I can, because we are since I've become one, I can say a little things about you, yes, but not too deep. I'll just make it a bit proverbial in a way. You per se, a lot of people, of course, would make mistakes when it comes to your animal sign based because of your date of birth. But if you go outside of your date of birth, you have the characteristics of what I call the ball, right? You are extremely tenacious, and people are only afraid of you when they are far off. They don't see the ball, they see the larvae bear. So a gammy type bear. Inti ube who say ejuma ne kra right? You'd realize sometimes if you do not take care, when people get close to you too much, now some huge disrespect be out, and it gets you pissed. You understand what I'm saying? Because they only fear the bear when the bear is far away, and when the bear gets close to them, it becomes something else. So that is also a bit about you, and no matter no be soon be a patch, making sure say yeah. So the second thing this time I'll go with color. Sinibia will be patch so. Then sorry. Okay.
Some time I will.
Okay. Okay. Into so adibim, right? So most of the time. Okay, good. Mir heshalahati mi cook. So this thing more or less also reflects light, I think. Yes. So the first thing I did was when I hit light on it, the light reflected quickly. So there's a white layer around it. That should be the middle side. And then when I look around it, way is made of a little bit of it feels like bronze or brass and a little bit of steel, but asoma kalanho kakra, so it's kind of like it has the gold type color.
Hey.
So yeah, so then
wait. How do you do that?
Oh no, it's just I tell you, these are basic things when you are. Like, that's why I tell people, say, a lot of people in this realm are in the religious faith. They're not actually in the
So now you're actually seeing with your mind.
Exactly.
Rather than your eyes.
So, yeah, what I do is I connect with you. That's the language of telepathy. I connect with you, and then I see through you. And if I'm not even seeing through your normal eyes, I see through your other senses. I see through what your mind is also picturing. I see through what your mind is saying as well. And no.
Pacho disconnect why?
Okay.
Me
So,
Bluetooth.
this is where.
Whoa!
Okay.
Whoa!
Okay.
You can do all that?
Yeah. So I mostly try and do some of these things. People say, "Yeah, kasa na yeah kasa." Once a band necromancy nyoma, right?
Are you okay? Is your eyes okay?
Yeah, it's you put pressure on your eyes when you put it. Upa so be perfect. So it tell when you
So it takes time for you to
to adjust.
All right, beautiful.
Yeah. Inti.
Ha! Eja beje corner waka. Na bronze, na white, na light, na hey. But well, it tells me it's not just talk.
Yeah, that's the point.
It's not just talk.
I have practically
first time I saw you, you were touching somebody and somebody else was feeling it. Yes. And no, man, even at the beginning, because I said, "We started off as a magician, and now you have graduated to an oracle."
But behind it, when you touch someone else feel there's internet. So obi wo ba, say, "Oh yeah, mommy." Oh, now you must see me banana me bia to no akọfa for you say banana accident. We say yeah. And I say be you must say Kofi pacho and open you careful. You see, because you
intuition.
Have a link, yeah. You have a link, so you felt something that has happened or something that's about to happen. So as a human, when you now program yourself to dilute all the noise.
Speaking to the mic.
Sorry. If you program yourself to dilute all the noise around you now, and then to work on your psychic self, these are just like comedies for you. These are basic comedies to you. Sorry.
What you said about me at some point is true. They themselves know a lot of people, and they will even interpret that as too know.
Yeah.
So where you too know. But when they get close to me, they go like, "Hey, who you cool on me? From afar, you look like a stuck-up, and this and that." And every time they do that, I just laugh. It used to bother me at a point, but majority of my life, I don't give a damn.
You see, some of these things, it shouldn't bother you. Should just let you know. Once I'm kind of say your sign animal. Of course, I'm not talking based on the date of birth. I'm talking based on you as a person. As now, your star animal is a ball, right? Those who understand the sign of a ball from afar, it's scary because but then when you come close, all you hear and say was smiling. So now when you know that, say okay, then it means I should keep my circle very tight.
It's not everybody you're allowed to enter,
because those outside the circle will be scared and give me that respect, and those within the circle already respect me enough that don't disrespect me. That's all.
That's true. Don't become too lenient. Don't become too friendly. Kofi, I'm talking to you. And I just the camera. Ahokagya is his name. He's the oracle, not by his mouth, but he has proven it by deed. I know you like probably to get in touch, to learn a thing or two, to ask this or a few. So what I'll do is there a number?
Yes.
People can reach you on.
Yeah, so our office line is 053 827 3636 and
053 827 3636.
And
I am the god of memory.
And Ahokagya Africa on Facebook.
Okay.
And that's why I'm more dominant on. I think TikTok is Ahokagya UK or something. Ahokagya Africa UK or Ahokagya UK, one of it.
Okay. We should be sure. Ahokagya Africa UK.
Ahokagya UK.
Okay, Ahokagya UK. Yeah. Is that where you used to live? Or you have dreams of going there? Or
be private life there.
or this God is flexing. It'll be all vibe. You know what I'm saying?
By grace, we've been blessed to a point. So
okay.
Matthias.
It is what it is. Your friend Kofi Ochame, wait, my friend Ochame Kofi. I answer to every one of them. I believe this has been an insightful conversation. We're going to have another one. I like the way, it's not a particular topic. We're just talking about a bunch of stuff, stuff, spiritual, physical, and in between. Thanks for watching us, and thank you very much for staying. Please share, like, comment, spread the good news, and I'll catch you on the next one.